time to get inspired and improve your yoga knowledge in English. You're listening to Your Yoga in English, a podcast for yogis and yoga teachers that speak English as their second or third language and want to practice or teach yoga worldwide. I'm Annie, the founder of Enga Unite, and here to guide you on the way to become the confident and knowledgeable English-speaking yogi you want to be. We're speaking to Marc Tran today, and well, Marc Tran, you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Marc Tran. I'm originally from Vietnam and Laos, and was born in France, and I'm currently living in the UK. I'm a yoga instructor, a martial artist, and a lot of other stuff. But most of all, I think I'm a student. I'm a student of anything, of life. And I got this kind of, love about learning, about growing, progressing. I think that was the link in between all the things that I've been doing, and then, all the different aspects of life that I've been tackling. That's the kind of the guideline, I would say.
Exactly. And it's really important as well, as you get into yoga, we need that urge or that eagerness to learn and develop, right?
Yeah, for sure. Every day.
Every day.
Even though we start to teach, we need to keep learning. And we learn by teaching as well.
Exactly. Really cool. So how did you get into yoga?
I started quite recently, actually, less than 3 years ago. First class was an Ashtanga class here in the UK. And I had these, stereotypes about yoga. Yoga is for women. Yoga is, is very gentle and that. And the first class was really challenging. I got out, I didn't know why I felt like that, all the energy flowing, the kind of inner peace. But I really enjoyed it. And I thought I had some flexibility from Taekwondo, but it was very humbling, which is what I liked about it. So many areas of the body that I realized that I was compensating with to kind of feel flexible. So I had really tight hamstrings. My back was really tight as well. So I went back a few times, not on a regular basis, but I did a few classes here in the UK. And I realized that it was complementary to martial arts. So I kept going. I liked, the awareness that you develop with the breath. Always reminding your breathing. So it was new thing to kind of get into.
So now you're combining your yoga and martial arts. Is it all?
So Taekwondo is my main practice. Yeah, I study and I look to other martial arts to keep learning. But my main practice is Taekwondo, which is Korean.
Exactly. And you're combining it because you're teaching people that do the same, right?
Not exactly, but I try to blend. In a yoga class, I would implement some kind of martial arts stretches, some kind of conditioning that I learned from Taekwondo. Sometimes we would do like kicks, so kind of leg raises, a different way to stretch that I learned, but are as efficient for me. So dynamic stretches, working on the balance, coordination. And people enjoy it because it's new for them. And in the same time, in my Taekwondo classes, so I do more like one-to-one, or I train with my team or with other people. So I don't teach Taekwondo in a big club at the moment. But the few classes that I do with my teammates or in private classes, I introduce some yoga, down dog and up dog in a class to open the body in a different way, remind them to breathe as I would do in a yoga class, meditation in both as well. Yeah, so that's how the two interlace together,
It's a good blend. And the classes, in which language do you teach them?
At the moment, mainly in English. And when I have people from France, I teach them in French. So, for example, I teach to my parents. I teach yoga to my parents online. So when it's only them, I teach only in French. Sometimes I got other French students as well, so it's in French. And then when there's English people, I would make the priority on English. And during the class, I would speak in French as well, just to make sure that everyone's understand the cues. Yeah, but I learn in English basically. So I learn yoga in English. Taekwondo I learned it in French, and now I think yeah.
It's really cool. I think I experienced the same where I did everything in English. And first, like anatomy was really difficult for me in English because I've always been really bad at biology and stuff like that. But now that I teach in Spanish, it's just like it's a whole different world teaching and practicing in another language, isn't it?
It is. Then your brain is like, so much focus. I'm sure it's the same for you, when you looking for the words. You speak in both in the classes.
I normally only teach in English, but I do have Spanish speakers that want to hear a little bit of Spanish because they have a low level of English. But I try to keep it all in English.
But yeah, English is so important for in the yoga world, wherever you would go, most of the time will be in English. Except in Central America when you have places where I teach in Spanish, which is cool. I had the chance to teach a little in Spanish. I did few classes. So at that time I was not a teacher yet. I was practicing on my own. And it was like a test because I didn't decide to change my path and decide to focus all my energy into teaching. I tried in the hostels to teach a bit of yoga, see if I liked it. And it was cool. And I teach a bit in Spanish because there was some people from there. And it was a really, really good experience in Nicaragua and then a bit in Costa Rica as well.
I see. Really cool. And so you speak English and French. Are there any more languages that you speak?
So Spanish, I would say I'm almost fluent because I traveled 10 months in Central America. So that's how we met with Annie. For people which are watching, we met traveling about 2 years ago in Nicaragua. Yeah, it was like, so I had basics from high school of Spanish, but I didn't practice after much. But traveling was the best way to learn it. I went traveling on my own, so I didn't have kind of chances that just speaking every day to people. And then it comes. It's quite easy. I started in Mexico, so the accent is quite neutral. And then it's quite close to French. It's a really easy thing for French people. The Latin roots, a lot of words are similar. So,
exactly.
And it's a beautiful language. And on top of that, so I listen to a lot of salsa music. I dance salsa and bachata. So, you learn by listening to the music, which is really a nice way to learn a language, I think. Music is beautiful.
Exactly. So now we're speaking about the languages. What do you think are the best ways to learn or to immerse yourself?
I would say going to the country. Someone was saying on the TED Talk that to learn a language, you need 20 words.
Okay.
You can start, to converse with someone. And then you learn more. Body language helps a lot as well, and it's fun. As soon as you take this playfulness, even though the aim is to be understood and to understand the others at the end. That's just about it. Even if you do mistakes, like in everything, that's how you learn. So just daring to practice.
I think for most people at the start it's really difficult to express yourself. First learned Spanish, for example. I was really embarrassed of my accent. I felt really insecure and I didn't want to try it at all. I understood everything perfectly, but I just didn't have the guts, that didn't dare to actually try. Because pride, it's just you don't want to fail, really. And I think that's for most people, it's the most difficult. But it's all practice, and you need to try and make mistakes, like you said. And that's a really good point. What do you do when you make a mistake?
Just smile.
Smile. What else can you do?
What else can you do? To be cultivating, being uncomfortable, I think it's a big thing. Whether it's for languages or learning a new physical practice, or anything, that's where the growth happens. That's where we connect, the new neural pathways with the body and the way to articulate either the muscles or memory. That's at the edge of where it's comfortable, and when it's too far, that's where we grow.
Exactly. Nice one.
But it's something that it needs to be cultivated in different aspects of life, I think.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was something that you found really difficult when you were doing your training? Maybe it's language related, maybe it's just the training in itself.
On the teacher training, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. It was a lot of information in a short time.
Yeah.
A lot to digest in like 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I still go through my, the book from time to time, and then it's exciting because you learn a lot. There's a lot going on. Mentally, it's a bit tiring. I would say more than physically, but it was just learning. So I did my teacher training with a teacher that I met while traveling.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I was meant to meet him because it was I followed people, so I met him in Guatemala,
Mm-hmm.
like the Latitlan. Have you been?
Yes, I've been too. We might have been there actually the same year.
Possibly, yeah. So I was in San Pedro,
Mm-hmm. Same. Yeah.
and I met someone on the streets, which was offering yoga classes, and he was selling jewels. And I asked him about yoga classes, so he told me, "Oh, yeah, I teach a bit in the hostel where he was staying, and I was looking for an accommodation."
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed a bit in the same place, and we practiced a bit together. He showed me some stuff. So I was really like beginner still at that time. And after he mentioned a place called the Mystical Yoga Farm, which is in front of Santiago at Atitlan.
Yes, I know about it. How funny.
Yeah. And you
Uh-huh.
can only access it by boat or in a long walk. And he told me, yeah, you should go, you're going to like it. So he explained me that it was like a kind of community and place where people were practicing yoga. And when I arrived there, that's where I met Scott Nanamura, which is my yoga teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing a teacher training there. So I arrived halfway through the teacher training. And this is how I think I really started my journey into yoga. So as I stayed as a volunteer in the farm, and I was able to do the classes with them. So the meditation and the yoga practice in the morning, and then following the philosophy classes in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
I did like 2 weeks of half a teacher training just to immerse myself, and because I loved it, because I loved the people, I loved learning, and I was volunteering to they had to teach to people, so I was going there as a student to just have people just give me instruction and help them to start teaching as well. And that's where things started to shift in my head. I didn't think about doing a teacher training straight away, but the seed was planted at that time. And so I knew when I did my teacher training with him a few months after in Greece, that's a bit the way he was teaching. And he's like twice my age. So impressive person physically, very charismatic, a lot of physical ability as well, more than people of our age. But that was challenging a little bit. And I like the way he pushed us as well during the teacher training. Mm-hmm. When he saw that we could do more, like arm balances and all that, he was showing us stuff. And I was, to learn and absorb this thing. And now there's a lot of things that I kept practicing after to be able to, do them, different skills.
Mm-hmm.
That was challenging. Yeah.
I see. So the training you did, what style of yoga was it focused on?
Hatha.
Hatha yoga, okay. Interesting. And so it's really cool actually that you did so much physical practice, because I think there's many trainings out there, and there's many different styles as well to do your training in. But in my practice, for example, my training, we didn't do as much physical practice. We didn't even have a yoga class every morning.
What style was it? And what type of?
It was also Hatha Vinyasa, but we focused a lot on the philosophy, history, and the anatomy. And we didn't actually practice a lot of yoga, or yoga as we know it, yoga asana, which was for me, because obviously people go to that training thinking, okay, we're going to do yoga every day, we're going to be practicing yoga all day. And like you said, mentally you are saturated with information. There's so much coming in, many of us get overwhelmed. Yeah, it's an interesting experience. Very different to what I expected at the start. Was it the same for you?
I knew a bit from the teacher. That's why I decided to do it with him.
I
So not as different, yeah. But what about you? How did you find yours, and where was it?
I did my training in Costa Rica with Selena Garifino. She is an American teacher. To be honest, I found her on the internet. I wanted to I wanted to do my teacher training and I wasn't sure where to go. But I did want to travel through Central America at the same time. So I thought if I can find a training there, see what I can find on the internet. And I had a look. There were quite a few out there, to be honest. I had a lot to choose from. And eventually I chose her because she has a very analytical point of view. She's a university professor as well. So everything came from more of like an academic kind of course. Now I would like to do a more spiritual course because I feel like I'm ready for it. But at that time I wasn't. So yes, just on the internet.
How many years before did you start your practice, your own practice?
My own practice, I started in New Zealand, where I lived at that time. That's about 6 years ago now. And I started a studio next to my work. I just wanted to have some physical exercise because I'm really lazy. I don't really like to work out. And I needed to do something. And I worked in a cafe, and next door there was a yoga studio that just opened. So they had a really great deal. So my friend and I went, and I really enjoyed it the first time. And I thought, well, let's try. I'm just going to complete this month and see what I can get out of it. And then I enjoyed it so much that I started practicing every day as well as at home. And during my travels, I practiced like different studios and different teachers. And eventually I got into it so much that I was practicing every day. And I thought, I need to do something with this. But I didn't want to give up on teaching English because I was teaching English at the same time. And so, yeah, I thought maybe I can combine it somehow. And that's where everything started to roll. It took a while. It took me 3 years to finally get to the proper idea. But here we are now.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I like the way that, you combine, the two things like hand in hand, and it seems that to be first very authentic to you and then unique as well. I don't think I've seen other people merging like that, the two passions and way of, we call that in martial art like the white belt mentality. So always say, although you're a teacher and you teach to other people, but staying fresh and going to other people's classes and learning from them and then see, what you can add, what's good about them, to stay humble and stay like fresh as a white belt. So when you start martial arts, you got a white belt. So keeping this mentality the same.
Exactly. And that's what they teach us in yoga as well, right? We are students, even though we're a teacher. We're always learning and always developing.
Yeah. The other day when we did the moon ceremony, following the flow of someone else, and it's like, it's nice to be guided, to go on the other side and just follow, not thinking about talking, just listen.
How do you experience that as a yoga teacher? When you go to another class, are you able to really disconnect from the teaching aspect and just follow the class? Or how does that work for you?
I go there and I'm a student.
I'm a student.
So before the lockdown, I was going to hot yoga classes in the town where I live. During the pandemic, and I haven't done proper yoga classes online, which was cool to teach to other teachers and share. And it was just like these exchanges are so good.
Exactly. So it's cool to meet different people with different interests and different skills. But what's the best advice you've received in regard to teaching or learning yoga and languages?
Just trying things. There's a lot of things like comes from the mindset. So not limiting ourselves with our thoughts and our limiting beliefs, because the only limits that we put are the one that we put ourselves. And that's stopping a lot of people to learn. So first I would say cultivate a growth mindset.
Cultivate a growth mindset, but how do people do that?
I would say first watch Carol Dweck's TED Talk about growth mindset. So she's the author of the book called Mindset, and she's a psychologist which started to introduce people to growth mindset. So between the difference like a fixed mindset and growth mindset. The fixed mindset, people thinks that traits and abilities and skills are innate. So it's something that either you're born with it or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they kind of think. And the growth mindset is like the ability to think and believe that you can improve and learn anything,
Mm-hmm.
any skills, any traits of character, any practices. So once you realize that, and the way you behave, the way you talk about it, create a huge difference in your approach. So people, maybe you've heard like students saying to you, "No, I'm not flexible." Well, if you say I'm not flexible, you're closing things. That's a statement.
Yeah.
If you say I'm not flexible yet, you open things.
Mm-hmm.
There's like something you project yourself, and you know that you can work on something and you can improve.
Exactly.
I think that's a huge thing in learning in general, whether it's like languages, skills.
Mm-hmm. So it's more to be open to possibilities and rewording the way you think.
Reprogram your mind.
Reprogram the mind. Exactly.
The challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes, in the classes, or even before the classes, people will tell, no, guys, not for me. I'm not flexible. I've never been flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
This is very true. It's one of the things that we are working on at the moment, like yoga myths. And I think the biggest one for everyone is either I need to be young, fit, and slim, or I need to be flexible.
Okay. Yeah. Totally true. Totally true. Yeah. Yoga myth. I like that.
Oh, what would you say to those people that think that?
Go and try. Unless you've experienced it, I don't think you're able to talk about something. After you can make a decision, but just attend a class and know what you're talking about, because I've seen people which were saying that they haven't been to a class. I found that
You have no way to speak without trying first.
Yeah. How can you talk about something without trying? Okay, at least you've tried and you know that's not for you and you don't like it. Okay, but at least you've tried it.
Exactly.
So first, go and try. If you've tried and it's difficult and challenging, well, probably that's a good reason to carry on if you think that you can develop something, the skills and an ability. And as everything valuable, it takes time. Mm-hmm. Anything that is valuable in our life, relationships, skills, on personal development, just take time. Just need to be patient and regular. It's not in one class that you're gonna be able to do a back bend or a split. Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Be easy on yourself. Really give yourself the time to practice and grow, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Consistency is more important than intensity. I think people underestimate the importance of habits and just doing a little every day.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes. Everyone gets 5 minutes a day, just to practice their language or do a bit of movement. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Yeah, the thing that I need to do an hour, otherwise it's not efficient. I'll do 5 minutes every day, and then you see
I think it has a lot to do with the society we grow up in. Many people are rushed, they've got other things going on, and from a young age we are told to do things in a certain way. And we don't really experience or explore imagination or trying to do things for ourselves and finding the own way.
How was it for you to learn languages?
I've always really loved languages. But in school, it was really difficult to pick up on the languages because they teach you a certain way, and that's the way. There is no other way. You just need these words for your exam. This is the grammar, and that's the way to do your exam. But you don't really get the practice that you'll need to speak that language in your daily life. And I went to Aruba in the Caribbean, and that was where I first really had to speak in another language by myself. They do speak Dutch there as well, and they speak Papiamento. Papiamento is a mix of languages, and it's like Portuguese, Spanish, English, French, German, Dutch. But a lot of European languages. I don't know exactly time that was, but there were all these like colonizations, and people all went to the same places. So they started speaking pidgin languages, which are languages to survive really and try to make each other understandable. And that's how these languages started to grow. So they speak Papiamento is their first language, and they speak English and Dutch. And really, that was just my first real experience to have it and to speak another language. And I think that for me really helped, because in the end, you really need that practice, and you need to be pushed to start gaining fluency and accuracy. Even though you know the grammar, you know a lot of vocabulary, you know, like sentence structures, you need like practical practice really to become fluent. And then Spanish was the same, but I was really, really, really shy in the beginning. So it took me about 2 years to actually open up. And then I finally started speaking. Is there any other language that you want to learn? What's next on your list?
So my mom is from Laos, so she's speaking to me in Lao, which is very close to Thai.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand it very well, and now I try to answer to her in Lao to practice it, because when we were younger with my sister, we were answering in French, so we understood everything. The grammar was quite easy, but yeah, we didn't practice much that. So it was other language that in Taekwondo we speak Korean.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned some Taekwondo vocabulary in Korean, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have at the moment the aim of working on a new one. Maybe if you're kind of perfecting the others.
Now that you are in the UK, and because of COVID, we don't really have the opportunity to travel, what would be a way for you to start learning more or practicing more at home?
I would say, yeah, having someone to talk to would be good. I got some friends in France. So I got my best friend, he's married to a Mexican girl. So when I visit them, I try to speak to them in Spanish. It's a nice way to, and she likes it, and she knows that I want to keep practicing. So it's quite cool to keep practicing with like that. Listening is a good way. Just music or movies. I actually improve a lot my English like that. So I was watching subtitles, TV shows and movies. So first English subtitled in French, and then I changed to English subtitled in English.
Mm-hmm.
In France we suck at languages, to be honest. That's well known. So I came to the UK. Yeah, I applied for a job as a designer only outside France to learn and to improve my English and become fluent.
Exactly. Nice one. Really good. Then I've got another question. We already spoke a little bit about the tips of learning languages, but are there any tips that you would like to give to yogis or learning yoga?
I would say learn your anatomy. Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
If you go to a class and you don't know what the teacher is talking about, you lose a lot of information. So last time I had the example, I talked about glutes. And people didn't know at the end of class to me, what's the glutes? So they were French people. So I explained them that c'est les fessiers en français, because we call that. And I say, So they start to connect, and you realize that, yeah, she thought it was like the front of the thigh. But yeah, you lose some information by not knowing areas of the body. So the teachers always make sure that physical cues about what you're supposed to feel and aware, which is really important to develop awareness of your own body. If you don't know what he's talking about or she's talking about, you're lost. So yeah, start with the anatomy, bones, but mainly muscles. The Sanskrit is interesting as well. It's nice to know the poses in a different name, because some people would tell them in Sanskrit sometimes only.
And I feel like as you learn more poses in Sanskrit, you're actually learning another language, because there's words that come back all the time. And like, interesting. What does it mean that when I go to India, I understand what they're speaking about?
Watch videos. There's so many tutorial classes online that you can watch and listen to.
So much inspiration and so many different styles. Literally, there's something for everyone, right?
When you teach, you need to learn it twice. And I really believe that's true. because you need to deconstruct something and be able to explain it in a simple way to someone else.
Exactly.
So that means that you need to do the own work yourself. And that's what we talk about when you, in the question that you need to do your own journey.
Mm-hmm.
You can only bring other people to that where you've been.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this own journey, this journey of teaching to others, I think it's like first you would only teach things that you are confident with. You would then teach stuff that you're not sure about. So that means you develop your own self-confidence, confidence about your skills, about your knowledge, and what you learn from this class from another teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It could be just simple like seated twist, guide someone into a little flow of how to twist, how to wake up your spine, and doing like a sun salutation.
Mm-hmm.
And then they gain more confidence into their own practice, and they're in the language as well.
Exactly. So it's practice yourself and practice teaching. You just keep creating curiosity.
Yeah. What would you answer to your own question?
Depends on what their aim or their goal is. If they just want to become more spiritual, or they want to become stronger and flexible, it really depends on what your aim is. But I think one thing that I find really, really important is not to do just what you see and what you hear around you, but really do it from a place that comes from you. So finding what you need, finding what you find interesting, and finding what works for your body. Because very often we see people in studios or in classes, and they just do what the teacher asks them to do. They just do what they see in front of them, and they don't really experience what's going on. So I think it's really important to stay really close to yourself and do everything with awareness and concentration, and just from a place that comes from within you. That's for everything. It's for learning languages. It's for everything that you do in life. Don't copy anyone. Just be yourself. Now, where can we find you?
I've got my website. It's called martial-yoga.com. On Instagram, marc.tran, Marc Tran.
Yes, we will put all the links in the description so people can find you. And do you have any online classes at the moment? Can people take a class with you?
Yeah, Wednesday and Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly flexibility, arm balances, handstands, and strengthening work, so like body weight training, like gymnastic rings and all that. All the good, fun stuff that I like practicing, and then that I can share with other people, and taekwondo as well.
Really nice. Thank you so much. You listen to Your Yoga in English, brought to you by Enga Unite, a unique online learning platform for non-native English-speaking yogis and yoga teachers. If you feel inspired and liked what you learned today, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow us at Enga Unite, and become a member of our online community, Your Yoga in English, on Facebook. Practice, rest, repeat, and all will come.